Yo, what's up, guys? It's TDbappo. Welcome back to another episode of TD Talks. I'm your host, and together with me is the G Bros. Say hello, guys.
Hiyo, everybody.
Yes. All right, so it's another lovely Tuesday afternoon. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We want to keep this episode sweet and short as much as possible because not a lot has happened over the past weekend. But there are some interesting things to talk about. So let's get things started.
Yeah.
One thing that I would want to bring up is I think it was last night or the other nights. There was a crowned champion for
Yeah.
the Pro Tour Los Angeles for Flesh and Blood. For those who are not aware, uh, we have this guy. How do you spell his name again? Arthur Trehet is. I think that I got his name right, but he is a French player and he plays drumai and he won the Pro Tour in Los Angeles. So congratulations to him. It was a cool feat for him to win that title and walks away with $50,000 and the gold foil, which I'll bring up here, which there you go. So let's see if I could get this a little bit closer. There you go. All right. So this is what the top eight looks like in the Pro Tour Los Angeles over the weekend. So if you look at the metagame, it's a clear indicator that KO is like the best deck or the deck to beat in
Yeah.
this, especially in this tournament, right? The like with the upgrade of the new hero KO. Well, like, KO is not a new hero, but rather he has a new version of himself, armed and dangerous. It's basically the better KO. So everyone played them, and lo and behold, 50% conversion rate. Look at that. Top eight for for KO decks. But your boy Arthur made it through with Dramai. Still a very powerful hero as well. Got first place, 50k USD, and a gold foil with legendary black envelope and a Pro Tour invite for the next one. Uh, Also a championship prize card, which I'm not sure what that was. What do you guys think about the current meta right now in the world of Flesh and Blood?
Yeah, it was super spicy and shout out to Arthur for winning that game. I was watching it live actually, and it was a super spicy top deck that made him survive for one more turn and ending the
Yeah,
game. And of course, don't forget, thank you Arthur for giving Dromai the last 200 points needed to push her over the LL.
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
the
Again,
living legend static.
fast forward grind.
yeah. So she's more likely going to be LL within this week. But yeah, very exciting game. I was glued to the screen the whole time. I wanted Dorothea to win, but Dromai was also very good, especially the way he
Yeah,
bluffed his attacks. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think a lot of
congrats.
people were caught off guard as well with Dorinthia performing very well later on the second day, and then getting two decks into the top eight. That's
yeah.
also crazy. Unfortunately, they got on the wrong side of the bracket because both of them are
Yeah,
facing up. They
Rocco
faced
Dory.
off each other, and Maximilian got the win, making it to the grand finals. But I also watched that clip of Arthur clutching it out with the sink below. I believe it
Sigil
was the card.
Solis, yeah.
Yeah, into the sigil sauce. That was the only card that would get him out of that situation. And then, yeah, I, I love the look at his face when he pulled it out. Like, hmm.
That's
You
why
can't
we're
hide it. You can't hide
more.
it at that level of competition. You cannot hide the face, the that feeling like, yes, I got the card. I got the card that I needed. And then the handshake from your opponent, like the tap out. So congratulations to him. We're also gonna see Drama No More and CC. Maybe another version of her in the future, but who knows? So that is it for some crazy happenings over the weekend in the TCG world, especially in Flesh and Blood. Uh, but let's move on to the next subject, which is of course what happened over the weekend here at Top Deck Games. So Let me just bring up our champions right here. First up, Union
Yeah.
Union Arena is sort of back, uh, but congratulations to Kenny once again for winning our weekly event. We're gonna see more Union Arena in the next couple of weeks. Up next, we have the meetup battle. All right, there you go. Your boy, very consistent, Mr. Ives Rementina. With I believe that's what's the leader again?
Yeah,
Uh,
he's been playing Lucci consistently lately, so he's most likely
Rob
practicing for
Lucci.
Flagship. Yeah,
Okay, but I don't think that's Rob Lucci in the picture. It's probably Gecko
Moria, I
Moria.
think.
Yeah,
Moria, yeah. I think
That's
it's
the
Moria.
Black Deck.
anything that's black. I think black is still a pretty good color to play in One Piece. Up next, we got the APAC League
Way back, that smile.
champion. Look at that smile, Joshua. Congratulations to him. Uh, it was also a good feat for him over the weekend because he beat Craig in the last round, which was uh, really good because you'd never expect Craig to be beaten like that. Uh, but he was under the ropes because of the matchup. Joshua was playing what do you call this domain ramp. It was able to get a hold of the deck, and I think Craig was running his classic Esper mid range, uh, and he beat Eric as well. Shout out to you, Eric. Congratulations, Joshua,
Smile, if you're
for the
listening,
win.
Eric.
Hope to see you in the
Deserved.
next couple of events. And also on Saturday, we have our weekly Vanguard event. There, your boy Ken Matsuda. Look at him with the stare, the death stare. Congratulations to him. Is he playing Lured in standard?
Yeah, he's playing Luard. Luard
Yeah, his favorite deck.
has a standard version.
Nice, nice, nice. So congrats to
So
him,
he's now
my
playing
man.
Lord in two formats. So yeah.
Oi, Francis, welcome to the
Oh,
stream. Shout outs to you, my
Francis.
brother. Pagdula na balik.
Magic
Let's play some
the
modern. All right, up next we got your boy Chrissy, finally getting the win after so many
and
months.
the winner
The
smile
struggle is
also
real.
because when they opened the booster packs, the prize was an SP Onami.
Oh, diba? So imagine Chris like joining all of these tournaments, even the flagships. He sometimes gets a little bit short, and then or maybe he's just not having his day. Eventually, you'll get to that point where you'll get the win, the W, the big W, and there's the big W. Even though it's standard battle, he pulled that crazy AA card. So congratulations to Chris.
My skills yellow
Wonderful
of Lakers
performance.
Rocket.
Let's not forget
Oh,
Reese Silver Fox
yeah,
winning the Open
congratulations,
Wave
Roman.
Tekken 8 tournaments last weekend. It was really such a masterclass of a performance from him playing Dragonov and Azucena. Uh, only main reason he plays Azu is to avoid the Dragonov mirror match, but other than that, Dragonov was the character to pick, and he just demolished everyone. The way he described it was like it was so easy because the character just let him do the job. So if you want to win, pick Dragonov. It's crazy. I was there. I commentated with Master Carlo. Uh, my God, the character's so broken. All right, moving on. We also have Lawrence for winning
Lawrence.
our shop challenge in Way Schwartz. Congratulations to him. And he got that sweet promo stamp, which got on time. Thank you, Courtside, for that, which is the BSF promo stamp of Kai Keys from Guilty Gear. Unfortunately, no one plays Guilty Gear in our community.
Yeah,
But
this is all
congratulations.
live
That's still
video.
a good chunk of change for a card. I think it's around like $50, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations. All right, let's move on. So that's what's happened over the weekend here at Top Deck. Now we're gonna move on quickly into our TD finance. All right, into our TD Finance. We're talking about the ups and downs of the TCG area uh, for the week. So let's look at the top movers. The first thing that I would notice is pretty much the Atraxa very consistent over the past couple of weeks. Last week we saw an uprise on the card as well. I think this is mostly due to the modern metagame where Esper Goryo is
Mm.
such a deck to go up against, and it's been very consistent over the past few challenges. So not surprising, it's still going up. I would still think that the card would drive even further just because of how good the card is. Like draw like enters the battlefield, you have a 7/7 flying vigilance, death touch, lifelink, and then it draws you a bunch of cards like 4 to 5 at the very least. Uh if you're unlucky, maybe 2 or 3, but either way, like it's just a good card to have. Even in standard, like domain is still very dominant over the metagame. Not much has changed. Maybe a little bit hedge on the Esper mid range over the past week. Sheldred, uh, it's just no
It's so
brainer. Like the card is
So
just
good as
good.
well.
The card is just good. Yeah, wherever you go in any format, this card is
It
just
gets
bonkers.
back.
I'm not seeing this card going down anytime soon. Maybe if they reprint the card, who knows? But I think $80 is already like the stable price for this card. I would say. The biggest surprise though in this list, at least in the standard, is Anim Pakal. I'm not sure why, but
it's
maybe someone figured out like a commander deck here and there, or we might be seeing like a technology coming up from Boros Convoke or maybe Boros mid range. Some of those weird decks that you don't normally see. But I would keep an eye on this because like a 75% increase is nothing to laugh about. So even though if it's just $3, so hey, I got my money back. That's for sure. All right. So jumping on to modern, we'll see that like I said earlier, with Atraxa, Goryo's Vengeance is on the rise with the deck just being so good. People need to start playing around the deck by configuring their main decks, maybe their sideboards with a little bit of graveyard hate. It just goes to show that if you're not prepared for this deck, then you have no shot at winning against these. So, Glorious Vengeance, we have yet to see a reprint, I believe, which is why the current price right now almost getting up to $40. And other than that, Urborg, I would say this has something to do with Pioneer, which I'll be talking about later. But this is no shocker, $50. Even after the reprint, like just a solid card. Supply probably is the reason why it's been going up for quite a while. Yeah, Doc, Green Virtue. Thank you so much for that as well. Uh, so the Virtue of Strength, I believe, if we go back to the standard, yeah, this card, it's actually been
Oh,
going up as well, up to $5. This used to be like really cheap, uh, like $4, three, just because of the upcoming deck, which is called the Timor Ramp. It's basically a very cheap version of your Sultai Slogger combo. It's also a combo deck, by the way. Uh, but this card is actually making waves in the current format. So yeah, and Nissa is definitely the core of the deck. It's the only, which is crazy because it's the only expensive card in the deck. Everything else is cheap, like even the Virtue, which is a mythic. So I would pick this up if I were a fan of like ramp decks, especially in standard. So this is actually
worst
pretty good.
deck.
Yep. Because you want to mill, and then Virtue just gives you a lot of value, and then you slam it, and you just produce so much mana with Nissa, and then the fetch lands. Yeah, there's also the teamer control. I think that's the other variant. Worst deck. Hey, but it's very cheap, so which is why people are trying it out. So And then in the Pioneer, we got Sorin, very consistent. All these decks that we have mentioned over the past week are still on the rise. Red Black Vampires is already solidified itself as like the deck to beat right now. Uh, Up next would be Is it Phoenix and Blue Eye Control. So Sorin is such a powerhouse when you slam it on turn three after the Thoughtseize. Like it's just so hard to beat cheating in your Vein Rippers. So $48, by the way, not bad. And anything else? Yeah, Temporal Trespass. Huge combo piece for Is it Phoenix. It's your finisher. So and they normally just run one copy nowadays. So hence the current price right now and the uptick for the price on the card. Other than that, oh yeah, return to the ranks. Amalia actually is having a slow comeback as I check the metagame. So I wouldn't be surprised where people are starting to pick up the deck once again just because of how resilient the combo deck is. Uh, it's just like that situation with Goryo's Vengeance in Modern, where if you don't respect the deck, it'll just kill you out of nowhere. So you gotta get those graveyard dates if you want to deal with this. Yep, that's it for me on my ends, Magic. What do you guys think about these prices so far?
Yeah, I think it's the high movers are just moving again because tournament season, and of
Mm-hmm.
course people want the best decks. So I think that's just really it.
I think I'm quite surprised the green Invoke Elemental is not moving up because it's graveyard hate, right? So maybe people
Mm.
are just waiting for something for a green deck to pop up in the meta for that for
Oh, you mean
graveyard
the
hate.
endurance? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
endurance.
endurance.
So I would say because I think Yawgmoth is struggling a little bit in the current metagame. We're just after the bannings of Violent Outburst, like everyone just went for the domain package. It's stable, yes, I would agree, Doc Pao. Endurance is stable right now, but I don't think it's like the go-to answer for all these Goryo decks.
Mm-mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, that's the target. They need to target domain because right now domain is like super dominant. Like it's just people would prefer decks that are super simple to play. So you got to keep a hand of Leyline and then just slam your turn to Scion of Draco. Like they have no shot at winning in the
Yeah.
first game. So they need to board. I actually would see them boarding in the other green card that's rising up, which is Pick Your Poison from
Yeah.
Murders at Karlov Manor. So they need to deal the Scion. So and then there's like weird fuse cards like Hilt. If you know that card, it sacrifices an artifact creature. It's super weird. We're
Just for the
seeing this weird
style.
deck coming out, yeah, from different decks. But overall, they're trying to find ways to deal with Domain Zoo. I think that's the deck to beat in Modern right now, aside from Esper Goryo. So,
Mm-mm.
all right, passing the ball to you guys in terms
Yeah.
of
Thank you very much,
One
Gerson.
Piece.
So here we go, One Piece, and of course we'll start it off with the recent spoiled leader for OP08, Marco the Phoenix, red blue leader for life, 5,000 power, Whitebeard Pirates Dawn times one. Once returned, draw one card, then place one card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Then give one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 for the turn. So why is this card? Why did I reveal this card first? Because of course the spoiler season is here, and of course card prices are going to be following the current hype pieces, right? Such as this one. This is Sanji. It used to be around 500 yen or around 200 pesos, but now you can see the jump in price, 1,500
Ooh.
yen to that's around 700 to 800 pesos if the math is correct. And if you just to remind you, the effect of Marco was to draw a card and put a card to the top or bottom of the deck. So you use Marco, put a card to the top of the deck, then you call Sanji. Sanji's effect is check the top card of the deck and then call it if it's a 9 cost below. So you activate Marco's effect, put any 9 cost, and then you get two free bodies. So
Wow.
basically, that's it. And another one that is also rising up because of Marco, because this is a Whitebeard Pirate support, is Marco 5 cost. On play, I KO 3,000 power below. So this used to be around 200 pesos, but right now it's also rising up to around 400 pesos. So yeah, I think just the spoiler of Marco, people are expecting it to be a tier one leader, and of course the prices are going to follow that card. What do you think, Jerson?
Yeah, I think it's very nice to see Marco on the rise again because I remember that used to be like the chase card for Whitebeard decks, and everyone just dreaded on playing against those decks. So it's nice that we get to see all some of these old cards going up. Even in OPO6, like the Sanji is picking up as well, which is good. Which means these developers are actually uh, taking notes of what cards would synergize with the leaders that they would spoil or other cards that would synergize with these cards or the previous cards from these sets. So it means that the metagame is going to be looking healthy unless we see something like super busted
Yes,
like in the first early days of One Piece. So
people are just expecting it. So yeah,
yep.
so I think we'll go with Vanguard right now. Anjo, you can take the ball.
Okay,
Yeah.
so recently Vanguard just previewed their upcoming product calendar for the year, and we see here a Brainwash Swirler rising to about $25 in mid range. So this card used to be very cheap because it was used in the Chronojet deck, but then after it was limited and restricted with the Chronojet deck, not a lot of decks use this. But with the upcoming spoiled new cards, this is skyrocketing in price because it is going to be one of the few cards that is going to help with the deck's main consistent with the main deck's main win conditions. So next here is Poison in Paradise Ava. She is now $15. She used to be about $4. So this card is most likely just being bought out because a lot of Eva ports are currently cheap because of the new triple drive booster, which we are going to expect here in TD around next week, hopefully. So the deck is very cheap to pick up, except this card, because this card was not reprinted in that set. So people are most likely just buying this out in the hopes that people are going to want to buy Eva, and so they have to buy this if they want to complete the deck. So if you have extra Eva pieces, you should sell it right now probably while people are hyping this up. So next here is Wavy Loss. So this card was another card that wasn't used for a while, but with the upcoming product calendar, they showed that Archetype, the main deck that uses this, is going to be receiving new support in DZ03. So people are hyping this up and most likely hoping that it will remain in price. So yeah, if you have extras, you can sell this right now, while people are still thinking that it will be staple in that deck. So what do you think, Gerson?
Yeah. What the what do you call that card? The card that you mentioned earlier. Before that, what was the name again? Ava.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ava.
There's just one player that comes to my mind when I see that card. It's Dane.
yeah,
Like
the
it's definitely
that
one of his
was
favorite decks. So um, it's good that people are starting to pick up the card once again. Because I think it went down in terms of the metagame, if I'm not mistaken, over the past couple of months.
yeah,
So
it did, but with the new upcoming support with the triple red booster, the deck is very cheap right now. That's why the other parts are rising in price to uh, keep
yeah.
up with the cheaper prices. Yeah.
Okay, so at least there's like a lot of movement here and there in the Vanguard market, especially with these releases. These are good signs of your TCG whenever the game developers are releasing these sets, and then you get to see a lot of movement. So which means people are interested in the game. So it's pretty cool that again these old decks, old cards are on the rise once again. People are like trying to scrounge and look for these cards. That's what we want to see if you want to get into a TCG. So thumbs up for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Nice.
think
All right. So let's move on to the next portion, which is the top decks of the week. All right. Oh, forgot the stonks part. There you go. So top decks of the week. I'll start off on my end for Magic, picking up the Pioneer scene, which is the Mono Black discard or Waste Not deck. So why is this card suddenly on the rise? Well, I would say is because of that one specific card that everyone has been talking about over the past week with the specific challenges. So one card that really sets my eyes on is the Rankle's Prank. So it's a 4 mana card sorcery. When you cast it, you choose two modes out of the three. One of them is lose 4 life. Target player discards 2 cards, and target player sacrifices 2 creatures. So this is very popular because of the red black vampires deck. You need to find a way to deal with Vein Ripper. So one of the answers that would clearly blow out the deck would be an edict effect or a sacrifice effect. So it also has Shoulder's Edict in the main board, but the main reason you have this card is you want to synergize it with Waste Not. So Waste Not is an enchantment where whenever an opponent discards a card, you gain extra effects like creating a black zombie or adding 2 mana out of nowhere, or you basically draw a card whenever your opponent keeps on discarding non-land, non-creature cards. So and then you have other cards to deal with other form what do you call this? Other tier decks such as Go Blank to deal with Phoenix, uh, Thoughtseize, just a very good black card overall. And then Liliana is actually on the rise with the current metagame of the red black vampire. So it's quite crazy to see this card like s- seeing its ups and downs, or like how the card basically, fell off after the reprint, and then everyone saw how not strong the card is, and then eventually it's up on the rise, even seeing some play as well in the modern metagame. But now in Pioneer, where we get to see Liliana as well on the rise. But the main star of this deck would definitely be Rankle's Prank. So if you're not careful on the fourth turn, you could get blown up by this card. Sideboard is just basically a lot of graveyard hate with Ashiok, Leyline of the Void, and Necromentia to deal with those pesky combo decks. So this would be my pick if you want to surprise a bunch of people going into tournaments. Because, like, for one, I'm a big fan of monocolored decks. So the only thing that would make this deck really expensive is if you could see in the upper left corner, Shouldered. If you take out 3 of those cards, you basically have a decent budget deck. It's like uh, $200, $300. So it's not bad. Yeah, there's a lot of replacements for Shouldered. Uh, but just because it's a black card and it's a really good black card, you can just put Shouldered in the deck, which is why it's there. Because if he doesn't get answered, he'll just take over the game. So, yeah. What do you guys think about this deck?
Yeah, I think it hits everything that you want to hit. There's Go Blank, my favorite card. There is the early anti-aggro cards. I think it's just a good deck for the entire meta.
Yeah, and I'm also liking the main board, the end, just for extra hate on your current metagame tier decks like Phoenix. So it's really targeting those really good decks that are on the rise as well in the metagame. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get to see more of this. Although some of the decks might, there are just times where the tier decks would really just stay on top just because
Yeah.
they're really good. Uh, so we'll see if this deck will make a dent in the metagame for the next couple of weeks. All right, so passing the ball to you guys for
Yeah, thanks.
Vanguard and One Piece.
So let's start with One Piece. Here we go. This is this is again a deck that is also hoping to be denting the metagame. This is built specifically to counter the yellow menace. This is
Ooh.
VV red blue. So this deck is already an old leader, OP04, but it is slowly creeping up, especially in the Japanese side of the tournaments, because if it's leader skill, pay 2 Dawn, draw one, and give up to one of your characters rush or haste for you, one piece for you magic players. So this is a standard control shell. You have cards such as Shanks that uh, destroys characters with 10,000 power. Um, of course, your Borsalino, we already know this card from Sakazuki, plays up to one character with cost 4 or lower, and the Boa Hancock, the card that actually gave life to this deck again. So on play, choose one of your characters, opponent's characters other than Luffy, and it cannot attack, and then place up to one cost or less character to the bottom of its owner's deck. So this card is basically a Frost Giant. So yeah, so it doesn't allow your opponent to attack. It's basically a control cell, and cards, of course, control. But the big reason why this deck is creeping up is because of this. Sorry. So again, you have a frost giant, but imagine a frost giant having haste.
Oh, okay.
Diba? So-
Because
because
of
of the
Vivi.
leader skill. The leader skill gives haste, and all your control cards have haste. So, hey, you're already controlling the board, and you're also dealing with your opponent's board. Who doesn't love that? I mean, you're also
Wow.
dealing damage with the haste. So that is why this deck is slowly creeping up. It has so many answers to yellow, because again, this card just answers most of the stuff by placing 4 cost below cards against green, yellow, and of course this one that can attack, and of course using an additional 2 Dawn, you draw and then you gain haste. So yeah, that's the huh.
So it affects the duck.
So basically, yeah. What do you think, Jerson?
Yeah, I was just waiting for Vivi to actually pick up in the metagame because when we saw her and then the set came out, including her, people tried it and then realized that she wasn't good enough for the current metagame, even during the time, especially during the time that when Sakazuki was super dominant before the bans. Uh, but yeah, again, I'm loving that Bandai is really doing a good job at making sure that some of these decks that have somewhat been forgotten are actually been given love in the current sets that are upcoming. So there's a lot to think about when you're picking these decks, especially in the upcoming flagship battle.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't registered, be sure to register on our site. Uh, if you want that surprise factor, well, you still have to think about the Sakazuki, diba? Because it's not yet banned. It's going to get banned on April, but you just gotta keep an eye on what decks you want to target, or like what the metagame looks like, and then from there pick a deck. I think BB is looking to be a very strong contender moving forward.
It's still a rogue deck, but people are already expecting it just because of how much it can answer yellow. But so yeah, I think people will
Diba,
be
diba?
trying this
Yeah,
deck out, and I think I heard that there are people who are already practicing it online in the simulators. So of
yeah.
course, let's not spoil who will play which, and let's move on to Vanguard.
Okay, so this is the Grand Blue for Premium. This is the deck that Dominic piloted during our recent BSF 2024 Premium Shop Challenge, and he won with it. So this is basically a reanimator deck, and so your game plan is the same as D Premium. Uh, during your battle phase, call as many Skull Dragons as you can. Skull Dragon gains plus 3,000 for every card in the
Graveyard.
drop zone. Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot of tech cards here, one-offs actually. That is because Grand Blue is very good, especially Premium Grand Blue is very good at setting up that graveyard compared to its uh,
D
their V
premium.
Premium version. So the deck is also capable of opening up space because it doesn't have to run the perfect guards, which is an automatic 4 off in most decks because of it being a protect deck. As you can see, he only ran how many? Yeah,
One.
two sentinels in the deck because he can just create any sentinels he wants as long as he rewrites one with protect. So yeah, this deck is just reanimator. It's just very good. You pick and choose whichever deck you want. You pick and choose whichever card you need for the moment. So congratulations to Dominic for winning with this deck. So how about you?
Nice,
What do you
nice.
think?
Nicely done, Dominic. Yeah, I would definitely like to see more of these types of decks moving forward. Just because, like, I, as a Magic player, I don't really get to see some of these TCGs abusing the discard pile or the drop zone, whatever you call it, basically the graveyard, because it's like a basic, it's basically a second resource that you would definitely want to abuse uh, in the world of card games. And we've seen it multiple times in Magic in different formats. With Pioneer, we had Phoenix and Amalia combo. Modern, got Espergorio. So it just gives a lot of flavor into the metagame with these types of decks. So definitely another thumbs up for me, if you ask me, and definitely well deserving for Dominic to win the shop challenge.
Yeah, I think just a lot of games don't want the graveyard to be a very good resource because a lot of decks tend to play with it already. So yeah. So but any deck that can reanimate or just play with their graveyard is tends to be very good, as we saw right. Yeah, in the Warriors Vengeance kind of decks, and now Grand Blue.
Yeah, and I think I heard of this deck. You guys mentioned it in the last couple of episodes. Grand Blue. I think it was the deck that was to look out for, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say the reason why I'm propelled to see this decks is because it gives a lot of excitement when you're trying to learn the game. So when you learn the game, you go through the basics. Put a creature, put your vanguard, deal damage. That's your like one win con that you've learned over the years, and then the more you keep playing, the more you realize like, hey, there's other ways to win. So I'm a big fan of those types of decks, especially just because it just gives a lot of different interactions that you could never think of, especially if you played for so long with these types of card games. So uh, Graveyard Reanimator is definitely up on the board for me, especially with these new incoming talents in our community. I want to see more of these, like more Grand Blue. Is this deck cheap?
They have a deck set, so but it's with another deck. So you technically you can buy this for 5,000 pesos, the whole deck, but you have to buy it with another deck. So that's like the whole deck set is two decks for 10,000. So if you have a friend, you each have a deck for 5,000 pesos each. So I think it's cheap. Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually a decent deal, especially if you're getting into this format. It's premium, right? If I'm not mistaken.
yeah, premium.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a given. If it was standard, it would probably be cheaper, I would say.
Yeah.
But if you're a big fan of like older formats, like premium, I think this is the deck to go. Um, Especially with um, if you're if you know that your community or like some of your friends in the community are not either not a fan of the archetype or are not familiar with how to dealing with it, you can just steal a couple of wins here and there with this deck.
Yeah, pretty much. Uh, but I guess, yeah. Thank you,
All
Anjo.
right, thanks, Anjo. So let's move on to the next portion, which is the judge call. All right.
Yeah,
So passing the ball to you guys since Carlo does is not here. He's currently in Manila. So the only judge call we'll be having is part of your portion, which is One Piece and Vanguard.
thank you very much, Jerson. So here we go. Let's go first with One Piece. So, starting off, Paul's Whitebeard attacks into Busoy's Lucci. Busoy plays Iron Body. So, very just to tell you players what is the effect of Iron Body, it says counter, give up to one of your leader or characters plus 4,000 for the battle. And then if your trash or graveyard has 10 or more cards, give that card another plus 2,000 for that battle. So, uh, Busoy plays Iron Body with only 9 cards in the trash or graveyard. How much power does Iron Body give? Plus 4,000 or plus 6,000? What do you think, Jason? And to the people in chat, type down your answer.
I would say A because I'm just basing this on uh, Magic rules because it's kind of similar to One Piece as well. So I would say A because it has yet to resolve and go to the trash. So by checking the checking your graveyard or your trash, you still have 9 cards, which doesn't give the condition to get that free 2,000 from Iron Body. So yeah, I would say 4,000 is the
Yeah.
answer.
So thanks for that, Jason. So here's the actual rules. So according to the comprehensive rules, you play cards, the event card first. You pay the cost. So the cost is 2 Dawn or 2 mana. Then you trash it. So it's counterintuitive if you play other card games, but for One Piece, you place the event into the trash first before you activate effects. So yeah,
Oh,
so
I
if
was
the active
wrong.
card is an event card, trash that event card, then execute the effect indicated on the card. So, of course, now we know this as Iron Body is sent to trash first before the event activates. It sees itself in the trash and counts towards the 10 cards in trash, giving an additional 2,000 for plus 6,000 power. So, I made this specifically because of the players that usually tries One Piece are from other card games, and they have a hard time um, with the actual rules of the game because it's not really that intuitive, diba?
Yep.
So yeah, so it's yeah, just like with other cards, Tempest Kick. I think there are other cards as well that counts towards the trash. It events goes to trash first before they activate, and so don't don't be a victim of using magic or other TCG mentality. It's good to know the rules of the game you're playing.
Yeah, I personally I don't have a choice because it's only my reference, and I haven't been actively playing One Piece. So, but I get what you're saying. Like, I find it funny that when you pulled out the rules text, like, here's the answer. Like, oh my god, there's an explanation for this. But thank you for that judge call. But I like how simple it is to understand as well. Like it's not that complicated. So it's just a
Yeah.
different way of understanding it, rather than what I would normally think when I play in a Magic game. So it's definitely different from One Piece.
Mhm. Yeah. So don't, especially for flagship, don't worry about calling judges because that's the purpose of judges to ensure that
Mm.
the play is correct and everybody is having a good time. So I think it's time for Anjo's turn for Vanguard.
All right.
Okay, so it's Vanguard here. So at the start of his right phase, Dio activates the effect of Electric Absorption Monster Volker into his hand. So as we can see, Volker's effect is at the beginning of your right phase, discard this card, look at the top 5, and add a G2 or lower card from those top 5 into your hand. So once he added, and then once he resolves the effect, he adds a grade 1 into his hand. Upon looking at his hand, he realizes that he no longer has any grade 2s left to ride into. So he then invokes a special game action called G Assist, wherein if you don't have the appropriate grade in your hand to ride up, you may reveal your hand to your opponent, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, get the appropriate grade, and then remove 2 cards from your hand. So a judge notices this and immediately calls out Dio's mistake. So what was this mistake? So this is mostly a phases issue. In the comprehensive rules, the G assist step occurs before the right phase, and the G assist step is officially part of the draw phase of the game. So, next. Okay. As Dio is already in the beginning of the right phase, which is where the card effect is activated, he cannot retroactively go back to the G assist step and will not be able to perform G assist even though he does not have the appropriate grade in his hand. Imagine
Oh.
uh, saying that if you have a Winter's Orb on the field, so I tell you, during the upkeep, I will be using Nature's Reclaim to destroy your uh, the Winter's Orb. So
Yeah.
therefore, I can untap all of my lands. That is not, you cannot go back to the untap step because untap happens before upkeep.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. Yeah.
So basically, he just skipped the part where he could do the G assist
Yeah.
legally. Sad for Dio. Looks like he's gonna
This
take
is
the
very
L.
important because I kept hearing a lot of people do this, especially at the top tables of the recent Visual Championship series, and those are
Mm,
like seasoned players. So yeah, you have to keep,
yikes.
especially the new players here who are going to plan to go to BSF. You have to really know this, especially for those playing the premium and the V premium formats, because you might be tricked into doing
Oh,
something
oh,
like
oh,
this.
oh. That's not allowed.
Yeah. I think that's just the TLDR of this judge call. Know the comprehensive rules, and so you won't get sharked.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Good call, guys. Good call. All right. So, yep. Again, we're gonna keep it short. So that's it for me. 1 hour mark has passed. So thank you guys again for tuning in. This is TDbappo, joined in by the G Bros.
Q1,
We'll be
Q2.
see. Yep. What was that?
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
yeah.
Bye-bye.
He's saying goodbye. All right. See you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, guys. Woo.